Cool. Well, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, I mean, it is just my bedroom.
Yeah, so I see.
So like when and that's Boogaloo, and so there's Boogaloo and there's Chickaboo. There you go, sorted.
Hey, come on.
No, so I mean, well, like I was just saying, I think a lot of people were quite. I mean, I'll be honest with you, a lot of people were quite excited when I said you were coming on. Because a lot of people were like going, right. I'm just going to be honest, as I always am on all the shows, because I think there's like an opinion that you're somewhat, maybe a little bit like myself, you know, people think you're a firebrand or, you know, and I think like, I'd like to think you're just someone that gives an opinion on what they see and what they think and what they feel and are honest about their feelings and thoughts. And, you know, you happen to use a public forum to give those feelings and thoughts. And, you know, in this last instance, as you've sort of recently discovered, you know, you made some comments about things you were seeing. And I've got to paraphrase you when I saw you in Rupture, because you did make me laugh when you said that. So you've obviously spoken about a particular thing you've seen, and then you've likened it to, and I'll quote you, you said like seeing a bunch of Nigerians doing Irish dancing.
Yeah. You go into a dance, right?
Yeah.
And you walk in there and it's all very, very obviously Western African people in there.
Yeah.
And yet there's Irish music playing and they're flinging a leg doing a jig. Now, you wouldn't say this is wrong.
No.
But what you might do is say this is weird.
Yeah.
Or that I don't really want to see this. Or this makes me a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just like there was a few years ago of some footage of Japanese people in a dancehall environment.
Yes.
And we all watched it and went, wow, look at them people. Look at them weird. Right.
Yeah.
So now we move forward a few years and here I am saying, as a Jamaican person being brought up by a Jamaican, and I went to church with Jamaicans every week and I went to school in Jamaica. So, you know, to me, seeing white people emulating and mimicking, not appreciating, mimicking the only bit of Jamaican culture that they want to know, which is saying wagwan, doing gun fingers and calling for rewinds. They don't know anything else about Jamaican culture, but they want to mimic it. That's the thing that I have an issue with. I don't have an issue with appreciation.
No, of course.
Of course, you can appreciate and love and enjoy. I can appreciate many different cultures and music and things and enjoy it. But what I'm not going to do is mimic it to the people that are from there. At the exclusion of them. So, like, I was very specific when I said if there are no black people in the party. Now, a lot of people came for me when they're white people that have got black friends and go to parties where there are black people. So once I said to a few, like, I'm not talking about you, they were like, oh yeah. So I'm only talking about racist people that exclude black people, Jamaican people, anybody that's a bit different from themselves, and yet they take everything. They take the curries, they take the Chinese takeaways, they take the wagwans, they take the jerk rice, but they don't know or associate with anybody from those cultures. To me, that's off. It's appropriation, and it's my personal opinion. I have no power in this world. I can have an opinion and say, I don't want to see it. I don't like to see it. It makes my arse itch. Right? And that's what it does. It twists me. It twists my nips. But that's all it does.
But not in a good way,
And I'm not able to, like, change a law that actually affects what I'm saying. So if you go to a white party and there was no white people in there, you're not allowed to have black music. That's not the law. That's just my opinion, and I just don't want to see it. And people just, like, picked up that ball and ran left. Full sprint. And that was really difficult to be a part of. And at the same time, not really, because it's foolishness. You could have just been out there shouting that I'm a pink speckled elephant. And that's how upset I would be about that, because I know in my heart I'm not a pink speckled elephant, right?
Exactly.
And so I don't get upset with people shouting names and stuff unless that is what I am, and I will get upset. But apart from that, I think people need to calm down. and not be so emotionally involved in other people's opinions.
Yeah.
Like sometimes just let the dust settle.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you know, like you know as well, some people, if they sleep on it, they actually feel really different the next day.
Yeah, yeah.
And so a lot of people need to like...
I mean, I was seeing all sorts of comments about, you know, well, what's wrong with white people doing rewinds and all that sort of stuff, and it was like, well, I don't know if it was. I guess it was. The rewind thing was part of it, but I maybe I misinterpreted what you said, and obviously, you know, we all have a part to play in how we interpret what other people say. But I was sort of seeing it as like, yeah, it feels like now there's a sort of, like you say, like a mimicking of culture, or Jamaican, or therefore black culture, if you like. You know, it kind of reminds me of a situation I had with my former employees, as I like to call them on this cast, where there was a press release being written, and a younger press officer at that company, he wrote, "This one's for the Gunfinger crew." And I was thinking, I asked him very simply, have you ever had a friend that's been shot? Like, do you know what I mean? I was like, well, what's...
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And now he and I are now friends. Yeah. But it was just sort of like that thing of, they're once removed from things, isn't it? And so they can sort of look at it almost like we're in a zoo, you know, and they're like looking at us in this sort of, well, look at them all doing these things and look at all where we're acting. But it doesn't feel like they really would ever necessarily care if they saw, you know, someone died on the street, you know what I mean? They probably wouldn't even necessarily come to help. I don't know, I'm making a lot of assumptions here, but it just never really sat right with me the way that certain people talk about our culture, or talk about elements of our culture, or act in elements of our culture. And I've never really enjoyed it, but I don't know whether there was anything we could necessarily do anything about it. I mean, do you think it's probably too late? Do you think it's just going to probably be the way now? We're just always going to sort of see more and more of this sort of thing happening, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because somebody was trying to be facetious on my page and said, "Oh, do you speak patois? Do you speak in patois or something?" Yeah. And I messaged back, when you're on the mic, do you speak patois? And I said, well, no, because I wasn't born there, even though I have a lot of, you know, my childhood basis is associated from there. So I speak a kind of broken version of it. It's not an authentic born and bred version, but it's the version that I would speak being born and bred here, as most people do. Right? Yeah. And so, just that to answer their question. Yeah. And somebody else said that I appropriated my facial tattoo from Native American culture.
Right, okay.
And so I had to message back and say, no, you're incorrect. Research a bit more. Okay. Google this.
Right.
And they never came back.
Can I ask what you asked them to Google?
Western African facial tattoos, African tribal facial tattoos.
And that's where that comes from, right? Because I'm learning here. This
and we're the originators. That if that's the motherland for a reason, everything originated from there and permeates out, you know. And as it comes away from that, it lessens in its intensity. It forms other cultures, and other people take what they can and they like from it. And and so people were really, really quick to try and like call me out, like I'm appropriating anything. And it's really interesting that people just want an excuse to attack others rather than actually like think about what they're saying or the effects of. They might just think, oh, I'll just fire that message off. But they don't realise there might be another 3,000 people that also thought, I'm just going to fire this message off. I'm just going to say that or say this. And like, you know, like sometimes it's a lot. And I get it a lot because I speak up about things. And people say that I bang on about sexism too much. And my thought is, I wish that people would shut me up. That's all I want, is a world where I don't have to look and go, I don't want to have to say. And there's no point when people are like, we did book a woman one time. Or, you know, they get really defensive rather than, you know what, maybe there's some truth in what she said. Or you can think, I'm chatting absolute bollocks and just keep on living your life. That's because I don't know why somebody would follow me. This gets me. Why do they follow? But they don't like anything I say. I don't understand that.
It is a bit strange. I mean, I think that's just a horrible byproduct of the social media, you know, sort of universe that we live in, that we exist in. You know, I mean, or if you choose to live in that, you know, that universe. I mean, like I said to you, I came off Facebook in earnest, sort of at the beginning of the year. And again, it's such a stupid reason to come off, but I just realised I was looking at Facebook and my fists were clenched. I was getting so angry about what people were saying, and you know, obviously I've had my outspoken moments, which has led to an incredible amount of unwanted attention, or at least it didn't, you know, I say unwanted attention, I didn't, that's what I mean, a lot of people that said what they said about me didn't even really say it directly to me, you know what I mean, it was all just sort of like side-handed or, you know, second-hand, but
yeah, it's opinions.
Yeah, it's totally opinions.
And it's just like it's like going into a club and there's all the toilet cubicles and you go into each cubicle and look into the pan. That's kind of what social media kind of is to me. So I've got my own cubicle. I can like do what I'm doing and look into that pan.
Yeah.
Or I can choose to go and look into the other cubicle's pans.
It's really disgusting.
But what I can't do is then criticise the people that left that.
Yeah.
Because I'm the one that went and searched for it and looked in it to smell what it is. So there's a certain element of, if there's certain people I don't like their ethos or the way they conduct themselves or anything like that, I'll probably not follow them.
Yeah.
Or if I do follow them as a mark of respect for longevity in my career, or I've known them for so long, there's this weird lack of self-confidence or self-esteem or not wanting aggression and violence. I really don't like conflict and confrontation and stuff like that, so it makes me seem like a coward because I'm quick to like kick off, but then when it's violent I just don't want a part of anything like that. And so I avoid those kind of interactions as much as I can, but at the same time I kind of want the craziness. I mean, because if nobody else is doing it, if people could name me 5 other black female MCs that don't sing, then I'll retire.
Right, yeah, no, and I can't think of one.
Yeah. They're there, and that's what I'm saying.
I really can't think of one.
They do exist, but they're not, they don't have the prominent career, you know, that I have been really luckily privileged to be a part of in many different musical genres within dance. You know, I realise how lucky I am, but I'm also really sad that I'm the only one.
I mean, you literally, I'm literally just scanning thinking, fuck, is there another black female MC?
And that's why I get personally affected and upset by that, because there isn't another me. So how can I retire when there isn't another me?
So what
and I don't want her to be like, I don't mean that, I just mean another
no.
So like you know, that's what makes me sad and really hurt and upset, because in every other aspect of dance music, and from the corporate world right down to street level, women are given more prominence and more respect and more, you know, acknowledgement and more gigs and headline and like stuff, where female MCs, it's really, really the opposite. Other aspect, look at grime and rap and stuff like that. That's done for female rappers. There's enough.
There are.
Right? And they're bad.
Yeah.
Right. So look in dancehall, look at the women. So how come in our world that we've created this thing, and by the way, we're all meant to be punks.
Yeah.
Right? That do illegal stuff and put on illegal parties, and we weren't in the clubs and we weren't allowed in the clubs. We didn't want to be in the club. We are the punks of our generation that created something that ignited the world. Watch any movie now, there's drum and bass in there, there's breakbeat in there. Watch anything now, there's house music, any advert, we're everywhere. Our culture, and yet a lot of people have been satisfied with going down the road of success on their own, and that makes me really sad. And you know, to be groundbreaking or to be prominent or to be an instigator or a developer, you have to upset people.
Yeah.
Like, unless you go in and say, "Oi, this room stinks of shit," while there's a big shit on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you? The best teachers and the authors and civil rights activists and leaders that I have admired and followed, and if I could be a slight percentage of anything of the inspiration that they have given me to anyone else, I would die a happy person. And if I can be slightly, a smidge, like the eyelash water that drips off Miss Angela Davis's sweated brow, if I could be a molecule of that for change, and women's rights and civil rights and inclusivity and acceptance and just mutual love, I've done all right.
You've done all right. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, is there anyone you could highlight maybe that you know? Because I generally have been just sort of thinking, oh, are they on it? But is there anyone you can think of? Any other?
Yeah, Angela Davis, Marcus Garvey, Nina Simone.
No, I meant
Tosh.
No, I meant black female MCs and.
Oh, I see. Yeah. They tend to be vocalists.
Yeah.
I support a few now.
Yeah.
And I try to mentor some. But if I name one and not the other, or if I name those and not those.
Yeah.
So what I will do is give you
some
names, and then maybe we can post it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, please. Because I'm actually, didn't mean to put you on the spot, but it's just, no, I wasn't trying to.
My short-term memory, like the 90s was a hell of a time.
Yeah.
And like I had a hell of a time, and my 20s and 30s were like amazing. And so because of that, I can't remember what I did earlier today.
No, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry. No, that's fine. My missus had the same problem. It's quite funny. No, it's absolutely fine. Because it's quite funny doing this as well. It's like I'm trying to recall the names of tunes. And I'm like, oh, the one that goes blah, and I've got it on vinyl or whatever, and it's so funny, the video will go up and then someone will say, "Chris, you meant blah, blah, blah." Oh, yeah, that's the one, yeah, Jesus, why couldn't I remember it? So no, honestly, don't feel away. But it is frustrating, and I mean, that picture you saw, I guessed it was a certain artist doing a certain night, a certain event, and I may have been right, it may have been wrong, I don't know. But what that did lead me down the road to is, how do we... Because we can sit here and say, all right, we've got this situation that we're looking at, and you're saying, you're seeing with white people sort of emulating black culture, or Jamaican culture in particular, and dancehall culture, I suppose, even more particular than that.
But, yes, because they're not emulating St. Kitts.
Right, yes. It's not like carnival. Yeah.
They're not trying to like wind up to the steel drums unless they go
Yeah.
So they're not emulating any of the Caribbean islands. No,
they're not.
They go very specific to Jamaica, and that is where me being brought up in the 70s and having dog shit put through the letterbox and having white people mimic, "What are you thinking?" and like while they're beating us up or throwing things at us or throwing bottles of piss at us on our way to church. So because I grew up with that experience, so for me, when white people mimic Jamaican accents and stuff, it triggers me to those days.
Yes.
It doesn't make me think, oh, isn't this a safe space?
Yeah.
And because of that, that's why I feel so strongly now. I'm not saying I'm right or I'm wrong for that opinion. It's just how I feel because of my personal experience. And other people don't have the same one, and many people do. And that's why a lot of people message me privately and go, I can't say this to anyone else, but you're right.
You're right, yeah.
Or I agree with you. Or,
Yeah. Well, I said it openly. I said I agree. I mean, I'm just going to stab it out. I said it openly. I said I agree with her. She's right. But it did lead me down a path of, all right, well, one of the things I'm trying to do, and I mean, I appreciate I don't know if we'll come apart on this, but one of the things I'm trying to do is not so much blame anymore and sort of go back too much in my own self, because it's just not good for my mental health, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's to sort of like look forwards and think, all right, well, is there a solution? And if there is, how can we find it?
Yes.
How can we, is there a sort of a more evangelistical way of of bringing drum and bass and jungle to more black crowds? Is there a way we have to try and get black crowds into drum and bass and jungle? I mean, I don't know if would you agree with that? Or I
think the way that it's been sewn up to be exclusionary, we have to kind of unpick it back again. So it starts with the clubs and the venues letting black boys in. Yeah. Because at first, you and your mates would turn up, and unless you had a girl each, you're not getting in. And they kind of started doing that more and more. Sorry lads. And so from that base level, then if there's no lads there, then there's no girls. If there's no girls, then there's no lads going. That interaction. And I mean that obviously in a very sort of like cis way of the nightclub scene that started. Yeah. And we've just got to like unpick it all. So let people in that are a bit quirky, or if you see gay people turn up to the door, just don't say, "Oh, I don't think this is for you, lads." That kind of thing. So it starts security, which are basically employed by the club, and the promoter employs the club. So the promoter, if they're an open-minded promoter, and they actually tell the club, "This is the type of night I want to have. This is who I want to be in there. This is the vibe I want to have." If they communicated that, and they found venues that also agreed with that. Works great. Look at Rupture, for example. I mean, Corsica.
It's a perfect example.
Exactly. So it really matters on all of us to pull together a little bit.
100%. Yeah.
So it's also up to the MCs to be more positive and maybe not say such toxic, sexist lyrics sometimes, which the women I know message me and say they've been like, sexually harassed and abused and groped and stuff in these places because they're given a green light by security getting in the thingy, then the guys on the stage, and so we all have a role to play in it, to make the utopia that we started out trying to create in the first place. And no one is to blame. No. I think that's really important. And of course it's two immigrants sitting here again talking about how can we fix the problem of the world that we have no control over in. So again, it's just like when they get a panel of women together to talk about sexism in music, when we're not the ones perpetuating the sexism. So how can we fix it if we're the ones on the negative side of it? So we need people in control and power to just be able to look and say, we could make this world a bit better.
So to that point then, I'm going to be slightly not controversial, but
it's you, I'm not expecting I'm waiting.
No, you're waiting for me to... No. So this is the thing, right? So one of the things when we started with Black Junglist Alliance was that one of the discussions we had was, should we have... Like we had the private group that we set up on Facebook. And then we were thinking, well, should we have white people in the group? Because it was like,
It's a tricky one.
It was really tricky because there's black people obviously coming many different shades.
Has to be a safe space.
Has to be a safe space on the one hand, but do you want it exclusionary? So can I ask why then, men wouldn't have been allowed in the EQ50 group? Because I would have thought that maybe...
Because of the word safe
here.
Of
course.
So when certain people are excluded and it doesn't cause trouble to that group, that's fine. So men being excluded from a women-only space doesn't cause trouble to those men. It doesn't hurt them. Right. What it does do is create a safe space for those women. So when you're a minority within the minority, you have to be protected. So you could have chosen to keep a part of it black only, and you could have opened a part of it generally for people that appreciate and are part of the cause and are down, the allies. Because the allies need to be able to be there, so you've got to let them in the door. But at the same time, there's an inner vestry meeting where it's like, sorry.
And believe me,
so that's kind of where it is, because unfortunately, for some men, they will come and be a part of these things only then to say really horrible, derogatory things or use it as a platform of abuse or fishing for weakened people to prey on and predatory behaviour. And so we have to do that, just like if it was a kids group, we would exclude single people that don't have children. For safety reasons. No, and so it's just literally about safety. It's not about excluding people so they feel that we don't want them or love them or want them around. Like I love men.
Yeah.
I need men.
Yeah.
I want them around.
Yeah.
Not just to open jars. Right.
Okay.
And I am that. I am 40% man. You're 40% woman. We are all male and female, and unless we acknowledge that, you can't just be all gruff.
Yeah, no, of course.
Like,
and believe
so
me, I understood.
in that way, it's only about safety. Just like I wouldn't let white guys into my black women only group.
Yeah, sure.
And that's all it is. It's not about excluding anyone. It's about creating a safe space, and that's why we're exempt from the act of equality.
Yeah.
Because whenever you are providing a safe space, just like there are men only groups.
Yeah.
Safe space for men to be able to talk about issues without women bringing anything to them. You can just be in your space, and so it's very much like that. And I'm okay with anybody feeling that they want to have like-minded people around them, and not have everybody included all the time. Sometimes you can't do that. The world doesn't work like that, because we need progression. Black Panthers had a group first. Right.
No, of course.
And then any civil rights movement, any sort of historical anything, starts with the grassroots small group of people that then inspire a larger group of people that get why that small group existed in the first place.
So really, in essence, we shouldn't have let any white people in the smaller group, really. Then.
I think there's inner circles of everything.
Yeah.
For protection.
Yeah. Because it was a difficult one, and obviously, one of the members said, "Well, my mum's white." Do you know what I mean? And she was sort of like,
so is my mum, but I still associate it as a black person.
Yeah,
because I'm racially abused more than I'm going to be called white anyway.
Right. Yeah. It was an interesting time, and then there was like people that sort of like were letting the group, and it sort of felt like.
I've got a white girlfriend. I've got mixed kids. He's giving me grief because, I think a lot of my backlash was that, where black people who had white partners who were offended at what I was saying. Yeah. And then they kind of took the mantle up as a defense for their white partner when that's colonialism like 101, isn't it? Like get them to fight each other about the issues we bring to them, right? Yeah. So that made me a bit sad. Yeah. Because
that's the thing. It does make me. It made me sad and maybe tired. I just
sad, tired and sad.
Tired and sad. That was the word that I kept hearing. Like during that whole period, I just kept. I will name check it because I love him to bits. I'm name checking him already. But like Ilmatica, that was what he just kept saying. I'm just tired. Just tired. Just so tired of having to explain and having to like try and make people understand, and it's just like I wish I didn't have to keep doing this, and ultimately he doesn't, but he feels that he's I will be getting him on the show at some point so I could talk to him about it more, but he just felt like he was just sick of. He was tired of hearing the surprise. Like,
thank you.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's the shock.
It's the shock. It's like, really? You're really going to be shocked by this shit? Do you know what I mean?
You ignore so much.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the heartbreaking thing, isn't it? Like, I do remember I just sat under a tree and just cried my eyes out, and it was more not what was happening to me, it was how people were acting.
So is this during the Black Lives Matter things?
People were like, "Oh, are you okay?" Yeah. And since then as well, it's
do you think there's been much improvement?
So tiring.
Or do you think?
Well, I think there was a lot of improvement for like 18 months. And then suddenly now, this summer, everyone's just like, "Oh, will you lot just stop it with your politics? We just want to have fun." And like, we've had a really hard 2 years because of COVID. So because of COVID, can we just forget about racism? And could we forget about sexism? Because really, Chickaboo, you're being negative. And that's what makes me get mad. Because how dare you say that I'm the negative one for pointing out
the shit that we see.
A massive wall of negativity. It's in my face. It crushes me. It's like a planet sometimes bearing down on top of you. And yet they're the ones that want to like just drink alcohol, take drugs and party all the time and not think about any other people's experiences.
There's there's that, I don't know, there's a very funny book my friend bought. He called it Stuff White People Like. And it's a stupid book and it's hilarious. It's got like, vanilla spice lattes and, Lionel Richie or, just different things, whatever, right? And
now you got to be careful with these kind of things because Jamaicans, right?
Yeah.
Jamaicans, Celine Dion.
Yeah.
Mr. Bean.
Yeah, no, they both love him.
Love it.
Yeah, no, Kenny Rogers. My mum, like,
country and western.
Country and western. I grew up with Kenny Rogers, Jim Reeves. Jim Reeves
See, was the Don in our house.
See, this is what I don't understand. How the fuck is Jim Reeves? Pat Boone. Ace Cannon. If I said Ace Cannon to you, would that ring any bells? Big fat guy who played a saxophone.
Oh, I don't know if they'd let the devil's flute into the church.
The devil. Oh, okay.
Jazz.
Okay.
Oh, that's saxo. That's a bit jazz, isn't it?
But it's just
it's all like sex. Blow sex. Now blow sex around here, you know.
So we do as aspects of white culture that obviously we do as as Caribbean. I mean, my mum was Grenadian. My father was Bajan, right? So it was weird, and there's that line that's been drawn amongst most Caribbean people that there are certain white things and white people that we loved. It's like, it's cool. But this book, and I sort of wondered if there might be a space for writing another book called things that white people say, like, because there's always this kind of standardized response from and I even just the term white people, even just saying that as a black person,
they really don't want to hear that.
They don't like hearing us say that, and I've tried to explain to people who who are white, who are close around me, look, I'm not saying it in a derogatory way. I'm just saying it's because it's part of our experience of having to live in a white normalized world. And so it's the yeah, but. So if you say, so it's like, yeah, but I've been stopped, and yeah, but but maybe you didn't mean it that way, or yeah, but and it's like you're trying to explain. No, but do you realise you're saying exactly the same thing that every other white person will never explained it is saying, and then they all think that they're unique, special snowflakes. Well, I'm not like the rest of them. Well, right now you just fucking are, because you're not fucking listening, and it's not about balance. It's not about this. It's about trying to understand that our existence in the Western world, so to speak, is we've been, it's like a bloody long Grand National. Do you know what I mean? We're just jumping over these massive hurdles.
Yes, there's the poor white people.
Yeah.
Like, they've had it just as hard as
God, yeah.
And it's like, yes, in terms of economic advantages,
struggle, yeah. But you could probably still be Prime Minister.
Same. Right. And there you have it, really.
Yeah.
And it's those people that
it's
really, really difficult, because I found that everything that is for the advantage of white people, white power, for example, has racist connotations behind it, and genocide connotations behind it.
Absolutely.
And also the transatlantic slave trade and all of this. Not that they're the only nation involved in it, but they made a lot of financial gain and built where we are from it. And so that's the most crucial thing to acknowledge, that it is a different experience and it isn't the same. And you're not the same.
And don't get me wrong, some white people really get it. They or at least there's like a I feel as though some white people really get it. I mean, I could be wrong.
I'm half Irish. I'm half Northern Irish, right? And so, those people really know what it's like to be oppressed by the English.
Yeah, okay.
Split off.
Okay.
Border. Yeah. Financial. Racial. Prejudice. Sorry, not race, but sold into slavery into the transatlantic slave trade themselves. Genocide.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But they don't come up to me and say, "Well, go on."
No.
And give it the old but.
No.
Because they've got their own struggles and their own journey. And guess what? We don't do as people either. We don't go over there and talk to them and dance like that and do all their thing.
To be sure.
We're not trying
I've never tried to do an Irish. I'd never do it. I've never done that.
No, but the thing about black movement, the advancement of black people and black power has been for the advancement of not only those, but also many downtrodden, smaller, affected groups within those movements. Whereas we obviously know, like, white power movements aren't necessarily for the advancement or the help of anybody else other than white men, and specifically rich white men, because they really, if you're not rich, you're nothing to them, but you're still more than a black person. You're a scumbag, but you're not a monkey. And that is, the difference of what many ignorant people and those who have contributed to what we are now having our necks broken under. And that's why it isn't anybody's individual fault within our scene, but the people that have started it and continued it for 30 years, if they haven't been out there searching for women to mentor, trying to bring in different people, looking in schools or colleges and paying for somebody to learn whatever, or trying to find that talented person and giving them a deal secretly and nobody needs to know that you're supporting them and helping them, or paying someone's rent for a year so they don't have to worry about that, they can get on with their music. Or, you know, if I made millions out of this world that we're in, I would like to say that I would be proud to do that, rather than, you know, well, I'm rich and you know, my kids are fit. I would prefer to have a bit more out of life, but you know, in the world of me being all sort of peaceful and non-judgmental now, you know, let them live and let live. But for me, it would be sad to not bring through anybody, and I think, you know, older people in this have got a lot to, you know, just to have a little look at themselves. Like, have we really created like the wickedest scene that I can like retire and be proud of? Like, yeah, man, we actually started something.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because, you know, how did you? I'm going to go back a bit now because I don't really know your backstory. How did you get into all of this? Where was the entry point for you? What year or what time?
I
roughly?
started out DJing,
right,
and I was just fascinated by the decks. I remember I saw Grandmaster Flash when I was a kid, and yeah, it changed my life.
Right.
Like seeing the records scratching. Like what?
Yeah.
And so that was it. Hip hop was my life.
Yes.
And as I got older and I got into reggae dancehall and stuff, and so then I started DJing.
Yeah.
And would buy tunes and started, like, you know, practicing in the local youth club in Birmingham.
In Birmingham, right? I was going to ask where it was, yeah.
And from that, I joined a couple of sound systems, and just sort of learned how to do the technical sides, like stringing up and, you know, fixing the amps and all of those kind of things. And then I used to just, like, mess around on the mic and stuff and, like, say... I'd watch like Sting videos and Sunsplash videos and stuff, and like Lady G and all them, and Tanya Stevens, but I used to like mimic a bit of their kind of thing, but over the rave music, like to my mates, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, if you came and did that at a rave, you would go mad. Honestly, there's no girls. Come on." And so I went to my first rave and hated it because I was like, "What?" You know, everyone was just gurning and like the music, and I was like, "Nah." It's not for me. And so then I was introduced to it in a much more 90s way, hint. And then it all made perfect sense and I fell in love.
Like the rest of us, drugs are bad, kids.
They're really, really bad, unless you want that bleep, bleep, blurp, bleep, bleep to make sense.
Yeah.
And so it did, and then I fell in love, and I met various people and crews around the way, and would join them or MC at their night, and then I met a guy called G Real, and he was a 4-deck mix master, musical nerd, nothing like him. Like, he was living in the future in like 93, right? And so then we would do Dreamscape and Fantasia and all those. We were the only out of London DJs and MCs to come. Like, we did Jungle Fever, like the first 2 Jungle Fevers, and we had that residency at the Gas Club. That was there.
Cool, right,
So we were there on a Friday.
Yeah.
So every month, I think, we were on the rotation to come.
Right.
So we would hire a car and drive to the we'd be like, oh my god, we got King in London. I was so happy, and we were the only ones really that were included from out of town. It was very London centric, wasn't it?
It was.
And but we were lucky because we were from the Midlands, so we could go up to Manchester and go up all the way up to Scotland and play in those raves, all the way into Wales with the illegal like barn parties and like parties in houses in the middle of nowhere, raves, and down sort of all then up and down the M1 to all those sort of raves. So we were really lucky, and that we had, you know, those opportunities, and that we were really open-minded musically to be able to change our sets. So we could go in a lot of different places.
So this would have been like
93,
94, so this is about the same time I sort of got into the whole scene, because it was like, Probably, I feel like we're probably a similar age. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
all right. I won't bang you up. Sorry, I'm sorry. But you can't. Anyone watching this game in '93? I wasn't even born like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, no, I mean it's probably.
Tonight I'm having menopausal sweat. Yeah, I'm not that old kid.
I've got the fan if you're hot. You can put the fan on if you want.
You know it won't help.
No, it won't help. It's just from inside.
Cold.
Yeah. It's from inside. Yeah.
And I'm drinking hot fluids.
Have you got your drink?
And I was up till like 7 o'clock this morning.
Oh yeah, well, you were
I was at Spearhead.
Spearhead.
We played. Yeah. We played. I think Marky and GQ played.
Yeah.
And smashed it up, of course.
Of course. I love GQ.
Of course. I mean, Marky can't do anything else but smash it up, can it?
I'm embarrassed to tell you that I only saw my first Marky set probably only about 3 years ago. I haven't even seen him since, but I only saw him play. It was at Hospitality on the Beach.
Right.
When I first, like my first year at my, and yeah, it was the first time I'd ever seen him play properly. I'd never really seen him play. I've seen all the footage and picking up the decks and all that sort of stuff, but I'd never actually seen him. He was absolutely fucking fantastic.
He's the same guy.
Yeah.
Right, and GQ.
Yeah, GQ.
They're the same men I met when I first met them. They're the same people then, Brian G. There's certain people that they've never changed and they've just always been like a kind, like a gentleman.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
And to the women I know.
Yeah.
You know, they're just... And it's not all like positively weird nice, just gents.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if they see me like in trouble or whatever, they'd come over and be like, oh, you know, do you know anything? So, I really appreciate the gracious ones that they genuinely really haven't changed at all. And Marky's enthusiasm and he's the effort he puts into his sets. Oh. It's been the same. I've been watching this guy for what, 25 years or something?
It's so infectious.
It's the same.
Marky's one of the only people. Well, like I said, that set. I was dancing to tunes I know damn well I didn't really like, but like, do you know what I mean?
When he puts a little,
but it's just the energy he brings to his sets.
Yes.
And so I was like, but like, and it sort of encouraged me, you know, to remember that you know, it doesn't matter how old I get, just to remember to love the music, and he clearly does. And and there's people that musically I might not necessarily, you know, sort of link with or adhere to, but I respect him for what they do, and he's definitely one of them.
That's exactly how I feel about so much of the more newer sounds. I might not be into it, but I'm bloody really grateful that they're there, you know. And they're playing stadiums.
Yes.
Like, these kids are seriously living our dreams. Like, you know, because we all like, everyone wants to be Andy C, right, and playing those thingies, but there's only one Andy. Nobody's come along yet. But what he has done is showed a new generation that with this music you can get to that stage.
Absolutely.
And so now these kids are like, they're going clear with it. And so, I'm really, really proud of them. But I really rate the performers that are performers.
Yes.
Because I was brought up, you know, watching people like Tina Turner, for example. And I was in a band for like a really long time.
Okay.
And the gaffer of that band was a real show person kind of guy, because he was also mentored by James Brown, right, who is the original show time guy.
Although
$2, $5, $2, $5.
I was then finding people
on stage, you know, while he's dancing.
Oh yeah, no, I know the stories.
You just see his hand flash, one of them.
It's like, but the thing was, what I always found amazing is that
getting $10 for that gig.
But I know, and he's just taking all their money.
He's taken the whole, and they've got to stay up there
and keep playing.
Now, if that was a drum and bass DJ, he'd have walked off in a right mood. Man, they stayed up there and
they had to play. But the thing about that James Brown story about him, and for those of you that don't understand, like James Brown famously would be on stage, and if he heard a bum note or heard some of that guy at a time, he would find them on stage as he's sort of performing. Now, the thing that I always found amazing is that he had maybe, 15, 20 guys behind him. The fact that he would know which one it was. That's,
he can play all their parts.
He could probably play all their parts. That's a very astute musician that's up there. And so that was always the thing that shocked me. But I just always found, though, that the performance of... the only one who didn't perform, who could get away with it when I was coming up, was Bookham. Right? He was the only one that I felt like
You don't think he's performing?
Well, no, I do think it's no.
When he starts dancing on the faders.
When he's doing the faders, yes. But what I'm saying is, as a general rule, when you're watching DJs, the shape of them,
yes,
right. So you had. Groove Rider was always kind of, he had this sort of lumbering... Yeah, the silhouette of how they were.
And the smoke.
Yeah, right.
Very atmospherical Groove Rider.
Absolutely, but there was movement with Groove Rider. I remember Dr. Gachet was always, you'd always see his dreads swinging, and there were certain actions you saw, like Brocky has that weird little thing that he puts in his head, doesn't he? Right, you know the thing I mean? It's like a little metronome.
No, I've never seen it.
Right. There's certain DJs, they've all got their little thing, right?
Yes.
But Bookham didn't move. He was statuesque.
Yeah, it's cool.
And it was almost like, and I know he probably didn't think that, well, maybe he did, but I don't know. It felt like he was just above everyone and I'm just better than you and I know it, right? It was just that sort of thing. Now, I don't know.
It's really interesting.
I know he probably isn't like that.
I see performers as, when they're like that, they're generally the most nervous ones.
Absolutely.
The people that don't move.
Absolutely. And it probably is the case. And I didn't know him personally, so it was just what I've seen.
Guy, though. I don't think he moves quickly at all anyway, naturally.
Probably not. Yeah. And I mean, I've had a couple of conversations with him over the years. He's always been very kind and generous to me. Although he still owes me 25 quid from the end. Sorry, I'm still sore about it. I'm still sore about it. I know I should let it go. But I'm just like, anyway, whatever. Because it was like, because I got to play at the end and it doesn't really matter. But it was just like, fuck, man. It's like, I just need to cab home, that's all. But anyway, whatever. Anyway, sorry. That's so petty. I know. It's so petty. So petty. Anyway, but he came and played for us in June for Origination, another brand that I have with my good friend Spikey T, who was part of Syndicate. I don't know if you remember them from back in the day on Virgin Music.
The Syndicate?
Syndicate, yeah.
Like Hijack Syndicate?
Yeah,
like
so...
that whole UK hip-hop?
Yeah. Having a special... Yeah. Spikey T, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt when he approached me.
Fangirling out for a second.
So I had... That album, my older brothers had.
Yeah.
And like Having was like one of my favourite tunes.
Oh,
and there's a couple of
my
them.
God.
And now he's like my mate, and it's just mental. Yeah. It's so mad.
Wow, that's really cool.
I know. It's really cool. I love him to bits, and he's one of my best friends now, and I'm very proud to call him a friend, and it's just so mad. But he reached out to me over that whole thing, and so we started it was meant to be a festival, but for a number of reasons, it didn't turn into a festival as yet.
That can be like a noose you won't get off. Like a festival event, like promoting is already a nightmare.
It is.
And respect to anybody that attempts it, let alone does it successfully, let alone does it with some sort of like ethical thoughts in their mind rather than just making loads of money.
Yeah.
Like all of it together is impossible. Or nearly impossible.
Yeah.
It can be done.
I think it can be done.
But
We've got
festivals,
a plan.
That's when you've got the council coming for you.
Well, yeah, if you do them here. So the idea was we were going to do it in Croatia, and for a number of reasons it didn't work out.
You still need a briefcase with money in it.
That would always be helpful, but the irony is that we finally got a location in Europe. So it wasn't going to happen in Croatia. We finally got a location in Europe. We had government sponsorship. We had corporate financing. We had a venue. We had everything set up, and even the country itself was somewhere that was desperate to get tourism going, so they were really keen to get behind us. But that country was Ukraine, so that was the end of that.
Oh, those poor people.
So that was the end of that.
Well, last year I played at an event, Redacted, and there was like, one of our scene's biggest DJs, Redacted, and the local police turned up apparently and needed that suitcase of money.
Oh, wow.
And so they stopped Massive from playing until the promoter went and got that money and then came back and gave it, and then the whole event could start up again. But
but this is in Europe, right?
Yeah.
It's a different. it's a very different.
I think as long as you've got a case with money in it. For any project. I think you're gonna go a long way. So if you can get like between 20-30 grand, and that's why a lot of our stuff was connected with gangsters and wrong'uns and because you had to have that money in the first place, plus who's going to do the door if it's not the local bad man?
Exactly.
So a lot of what we've done has been just by any means necessary to get that party happening. And unfortunately, we didn't think, in 25 years' time, what's this going to mean? You know?
Yeah.
So now it's like, now you can't go out without like having, you know, Uranus looked at to get into fabric nowadays.
It's just ridiculous. Like,
it's like airport security, isn't it?
I cannot stand the amount we get checked sometimes. It's the ones where you go to like places like, you know, like Steelyard, not Steelyard.
I had my hem checked in Steelyard yesterday. The hem of my clothing. The hem of my hood.
What do you think you're going to...
Yeah, I said to her, like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
For a start.
Yeah.
But then I was like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Of course I'm coming in with pills for the last 2 hours. So then I was like, you know what, actually? I answered my own question.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get too hepped up, but sometimes when you go into sort of like the daytime events, like field day and some of those sort of events, it's like, you have like one set of security and then 2 sets, and it's like, what the hell? So this one checks your ID, and then you get your search, and then you got to get your ticket, and you got to do the thing.
Yeah, and you go through all of that just to find out later that someone got stabbed in the party.
Well, yeah, and then there's still crime happening anyway. So you may as well just, and then you could go to a squat party for 12 hours and nothing happens to anyone, and you're just all thinking, well,
like, you find a contact lens in a squat party. Yeah, I mean, you might not ever want to look at it again. No, you'll find it.
But it's so weird. But like, it's just weird. But so, how did the relationship with the Rupture guys start? Because how and when did that start?
I used to work with Indie, with Mantra, with Feline, Storm, a woman called Lisa was going out with Spencer from Herbal.
Right.
She organised a night. She set up a night.
Feline, yes, I remember.
And
is that all
I think she got quite unwell at one point, and so
Lisa. Yes.
then Storm took over, and so we were all a part of it. Loads of us, Aya, Jenna. Like loads of us, like all of us, we were all a part of it, and that's where I met Indy. Like it was years and years and years ago.
Yes, I remember. Spencer.
And I went through some like medical stuff while I was in this big soul band. I injured my knee, and then went for surgery, and that didn't work out, and we're not really sure what happened. Anyway, it was like a 7-year court case, and I had a breakdown from it because I was under surveillance and all of it. You know, anytime you do a sort of like a negligible, especially a health thing, and so because they had to like resuscitate me and do all of this stuff, so it was like quite a big deal for me mentally to just go through this. Like I nearly died. They were trying to kill me, you know, all this stuff, and then I'm being followed and filmed to see if I'm lying about the state of things, and the time I was really struggling to keep doing my gigs and hide it from people that I was working with, and so I was taking a lot of opiates to try and like get through the pain of what was happening, and then it was just out of control. I was drinking liquid morphine. I was like doing all this madness, and in the end it was just like, just stop. Like, you know, my boss thankfully was a really gracious guy, and so each year I had surgery, he kept letting me come back. But then after a while it was like, no, look, you're not the same person. You know, you can't walk. You're not the same. And my voice was affected by all the meds and stuff, so my voice went really wobbly and all weird, and I was out of breath because I couldn't do cardio anymore. So I just sort of bottomed out, and I thought it was all over and I was like retired. And then I think it was Natalie Flight got in touch and said, you know, we're doing some project, and you know, really love you to be a part of it and stuff, and then kind of came back in. But if it wasn't for EQ50 basically like propping me up and giving me those like streaming gigs and stuff, I genuinely don't know if I would have come back the way that I have, because I really thought it was over, you know, and so that's why now I've come back. It's not about me and my career anymore, and I think that's why I can be as ruthless as I am, and I don't have to be subtle, because I've been subtle for 30 years, and I've been everyone's friend, and everyone's been cool with me and stuff. So now it's like, okay, right, fuck it, this is it now. So before I retire, I'm gonna just like bite the tops off the grenades, chuck them all in the room, pull the doors shut.
See what happens,
and then open the door
and see what's going on.
Yes. Who's got their shit together? And so because of that, that's why I'm kind of on the mission that I'm on now, because it's really imperative and important. I find replacements, not replacements. I find the new, the next, like-minded, the new, the next, the new, the next, the new.
So could there be potentially like a sort of mentorship, but just sort of like for MCs that you could do through EQ50? Is that something? Yeah,
vocalists and MCs. The only thing with that is I don't want to be an agent where all I'm doing is facilitating vocal sessions for people. I think we could be so much bigger than that as vocalists, and people like Near Archives is going to show the rest of the small-minded producers. You guys have been sleeping on women vocalists. Now look what's happening. Like, we don't just need to sing a song, like we can produce it.
And when you say women vocalists, because I think there's a lot of female vocalists, I think we're talking about
just
black
singing
vocalists,
black female vocalists and black female MCs very specifically. So that's...
Because we do have a lot of, and no disrespect, but we do have a lot of white female vocalists, I feel.
And that's great for them. That's really great.
Yeah.
But for me, it doesn't give me what I need. I want more soul. I want earthy, guttural auntie, sister singing. I want... You know, all of that to come through. I want those singers to be older women singing.
And not necessarily rehashing.
Rather than they just retire and they've gone and they're like, oh yeah, I used to sing in... But like, I want people to stay in this scene because they're supported financially and emotionally. Rather than they just in it for a little bit and a lot of women have a baby and they find it really hard to come back then because the door wasn't left open. And so... Yeah, it's a really tricky one, but I think if I just keep annoying enough people, if I piss 5, 10, 15 people off, maybe one person will go, all right, maybe we'll try. Yeah. And that's all I ask for, because there's many times I've given the mic to somebody and it's really not worked out well. Do you know what I mean? And then I've got to take it back. And I'm like, I gave her a chance and it's not... So I get it. I'm also... You know, I get the tone thing and that certain registers of voices don't really fit in that dub bass line sound with the frequencies that we make our music in. I appreciate that sort of more ethereal, weedy voice is better for vocals. You can't just be like, everybody get on the microphone. It doesn't work like that. You got to be like, yo, get on the bumper club. Like, you've got to come like that. So you have to come with the dancehall energy, but also have the raver, drugs, fun elements of like it is a religious experience for many people going to a club. So you have to tap into that as well as rather than just bad girl lyrics. You know, you have to mix it up.
Absolutely. But you know, sorry, I was just thinking of that question. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, but I was just thinking, because one of the things I was saying about we need to try and be evangelistical a bit more about jungle drum bass in order to get you know, some more black people in there. And I said that maybe the route in, or maybe the one way, is to try and link up more with the grime, you know, and drill community, and see if there's some kind of collaborative... I mean, my dream...
But they've always been, though. Like, Dizzy and D&B and all them, they've always worked with drum and bass and jungle.
Well, D&B works with...
they've just gone because that music's more popular and makes so much more money.
Yeah, so they go for the top end. So, I mean, he's working with Danny Bird, not D&B, and it's like... I mean, it's... I ain't got no problem with Danny Bird, really. You know, it's fine. But I just felt that was like... What? No, do you know what I mean? It felt like a bit of a... It should have been... You know,
but there's that business side.
Well, I know, it's the business side, and obviously DW is looking to get a way out in it, and I ain't hating him for that, and you know...
Because who doesn't want to be successful? Like, do you want to make a tune with me, and we're going to sell 50 copies,
or
would you go,
shit.
Or do you want to sell 50,000 copies and it will be like licensed to an advert?
No, totally, but then maybe we shouldn't be aiming for DW, but maybe we should be finding the guy 4, 5 steps down from DW and try to... But, you know, I just feel like there's some sort of opportunity. You know what my dream would be? I don't know if you remember...
Lady MC was doing that by finding like the youth that are into it, and then finding new generations of people that actually went... Because if they haven't heard it, they don't know it exists.
Yes.
So unless somebody actually plays them a bit of drum and bass...
No, I know, I agree.
So then it matters that we're actually at carnivals.
Yes.
That we're at like... You know, days out when the councils have got their event, they've got DJs playing. Why isn't there jungle at these parties?
Not enough.
And so it comes down to like...
Or if it is, it's again, it's those...
as soon as you play a bit of jungle to the kids, they go mad.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you do that, you've got them.
But it's only certain people that get allowed to do carnival. It just feels like there's that, you know, that one particular individual, you know, FX. You know, he's always doing his thing and it's a certain
thank
sound.
God though, because I mean, he's very... at least he's like, it's an authentic version of what you would want at Carnival.
Absolutely.
I mean,
but then it's like...
It could be your former employer's stage.
It could, well, yeah, I feel like, yeah. I
You know
know
what I mean? So there's always, there's that, and as long as somebody's in there, so what we can do is try and get other things, because once somebody's got something, that's theirs. So then it's having the room then, or it's them to speak to Hackney Carnival, or them to speak to Cambridge Carnival and say, oh, you know what, I do this here, that's great, but my mates do what I do, just on a smaller level. They're much more affordable, and they'll bring the vibes. So that's sometimes what it takes is like, you know, like I was saying about the bigger people, sometimes it is just an email, or just a quick call, or just a comment on a post, of just going, oh, I know somebody that would be great at this. You know, but
do you think that happens enough? Do you think there's not enough? Yeah, because I don't.
Not at all.
Someone who we both know very well, Threshold, is constantly for the last 15 years has talked about how it's a generational thing, and there maybe hasn't been enough done from the generations maybe above us, or to sort of maybe help sort of the generations below, and it's not to point the finger necessarily at anyone, but because at the end of the day it could have just been that crabs. There is that crabs in the barrel thing as well. It's like, all right, well, I'm in, so
and I don't think they've done it on purpose.
No, I don't think they have.
Because your own success is what you strive for.
Absolutely,
and like they created a scene,
absolutely,
and perpetuated it, and took it around the world,
absolutely,
and kept it going when everybody else jumped into different forms of genres and went to speed garage and ran off. They were still playing
the stuff,
clearing out the rooms, but they were still there. Absolutely. And so I will definitely always show respect to that, and I'm very grateful for that. But like I say, I think all of us, myself included, can always look in the mirror at how we can help the next generation, and not just the pretty ones or the light-skinned ones, the ones that you want to like sleep with or whatever, or the ones that are sexy. Like, there has to be more to our scene than selling power, because we were never pop to only be signing pretty, because none of you lot are pretty, right? So then you're beautiful people, but you know what I mean. Nobody out here was trying to be a pop star until we had somebody that was more visually palatable for that pop world, right? And so they didn't want people that look like Fabio and Groove Rider, right? They don't want the Dark Brothers, and so that's great, whatever opens the door. And then he went on to open the door and show that genre to millions, and that's brilliant. But where are their mentees? I want a bit more. But then they started labels and brought in a load of producers and were playing their music, so I can see that they've done a lot, and so maybe that's all they've got to do. That's their journey and their thing. And maybe it's for us lot who are kind of the old school but not the originators, but we just came just under that, and so maybe that's our job to get people from there and connect them to there. That's our role.
Well, that's I agree, and that's what I feel like I've been trying to do. And I there's been many of the artists who I've met who have been a lot younger than me. That's why I don't give. I mean, there's certain people my age group that sort of like hate on anything that anyone younger does.
Right.
And it's just like, come on, man, we've got to be more supportive, like, and try and help and just support what they're doing. Just because it's not what you did doesn't mean it has less value.
Well, they're not at your level. They're not at my calibre, and it's like no one should be.
No one should be.
You've been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah, that's it. And it's just like we can. It's different, and it's different styles though as well. I think people just, people like, hey, jump up or whatever, and I'm like, it's fine. I don't really give a shit, right? I'm just glad to see certain faces doing it. Like, do you know what I mean? If I'm being really honest.
Yeah, you can choose whether you go to that party.
Yeah, you don't have to go to the party. But that's why I'm so pleased, like, particularly Victor Audio, Pick and Mix. They're two black run jump up labels, by kids who are both like under probably both under. I know one of them's definitely under 30, but certainly under 25.
Wicked.
And one's based in Bristol, one's based in London, and what's really sad, the two guys that run the two labels don't like each other, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
But at the same time, competitive fire.
I think, last time I checked, maybe they are sorted their beef out, but it was a bit shame.
Competitive fire. I mean, look at all the internal fights and arguments between all of us lot that have happened over the years. So well, I know you had a couple of things to say about me a few years ago. Do you know what I mean? I think it was more in a response to something else.
Yeah.
I don't just like bag on people for no reason.
Well, what, I mean, let me ask you about that. Fuck it, because we're here now.
But let's not do it on the podcast, hey.
Well, it's up to you, but I mean...
Yeah, I prefer not to do personal stuff on the
podcast.
podcast.
I don't think it was personal, because it wasn't... I didn't really feel personally attacked by what you said, but you did say I was arguing with other black people in the scene, and I was like...
Yes, because from me, like I say, I'm not on Facebook. So, you know, when you were saying, like, black people coming for you and stuff.
Yeah.
So I just saw...
Yeah.
One side of it,
and
commented on that one side, but that's why I would never
I see. Okay.
Not like speak to you
or
because thingy, because that's why I was just like, it's too aggro at the moment, and it was at that moment.
Yeah, it was very, very. It was very, very
and I just didn't really want to get involved in a contentious situation.
No, and
so
to
that
be honest,
was more. That was more it really.
And to be honest, like at the time, I didn't really, I didn't really pay much mind because I had so much stuff going on at the time. And I'm glad, it didn't really feel... It was obviously how you felt, and I didn't really take too much of a personal issue with it. I mean, and like I said, there was people that were like really gunning for me. Like I said, I had death threats and stuff. All right, Joe. You know what I mean?
That's really unfair and ridiculous, because I can say like, oh, that situation, look, I don't really want to get involved at the moment, with any of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't have to say, you're this, you're that, you're
that.
That's all it is.
Yeah. You didn't actually say anything that I was. You just sort of
I genuinely don't feel like that. You know what I mean? And so that's the thing, I think, between us all.
Yeah.
Like, if we just stop name calling
and
just say what it is, actually, I feel uncomfortable because of... And then just leave it.
Yeah.
And then when things calm down, you can always pick it up because he didn't lose respect.
Right, okay.
I think when people resort with name calling and stuff, it's hard to come back from that.
It is.
Because it is quite hurtful, even though they're just names, but it is hurtful. And, like, it's a sign of disrespect in many, many cultures to, like, talk somebody out of their name like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really... I mean, I had so much hate. But I didn't. That's why I called the podcast "Everybody Hates Chris," because there were certain periods of my life.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I will end it with a hate you.
Yeah. Because this is the thing, because at certain points in my life, that's what I felt like was happening, but also I was able to be self-analytical enough to realise that some of my own behaviour was the reason why, people thought I was a dick, and there was periods of my life where I was, there's no two ways about it. But I feel like I've learned from that. We all learn from that, and we grow and we evolve, and I think I've come out. I feel like I've come out reasonably better.
Well done, because retrospect as well, and it does seem like you have learned so much 100%. From it. Like, for me, I've learnt that sometimes being ambiguous with a comment, might as well just say it exactly what I mean, because the ambiguity is what's got me into trouble, because people can translate it however they want. Yeah, that's the thing. And I think that's always happened with you. And I think sometimes, if you pick up a sword, right, and you swing it around,
someone's gonna swing a sword back.
You're either going to get in a fight or you're going to chop someone's head off.
Yeah. Well, luckily, I think I've chopped a few heads off. That's good.
There you go. But you have to, like, for me, I know sometimes I press that thing and I know what I've done. I know that I want to cause trouble with that then. Yeah. But then can I handle the trouble that comes back? That's a different story.
Yeah.
And there we have it. So, I've really learned to not be ambiguous. I stand by everything I say, but I do think sometimes I could be clearer with what I mean, so people know exactly who I'm talking about. And then it would remove any of that out of it, and then people can agree or disagree. But having people make their own opinion from what I'm saying, that's when the trouble starts. Because it was already my opinion. So then they're putting their opinion, twisting my opinion into their opinion. So then, and an opinion is just an ego. Right? Because it's the I. So...
Well, I mean, like I said, I might have been guilty of that myself, because I saw what you said, I saw what everyone was reacting to, and I made an opinion video on it, here on this channel, and I just spoke about what I thought you were seeing and what I thought you might be trying to say, but I did actually say the only real way of really finding out is by speaking to the woman herself, you know what I mean? And that's why I'm so pleased that you
and a few other older black men said, has anybody actually spoken to?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Anyone? They were all like, no, but
yeah, exactly. It's like, well, maybe someone should ask her. Do you know what I mean? Say what she means. Because I always think when people say things, God forbid, I'm not going to bring up the Kanye thing again much, but you know, I think sometimes there is levels to what people are saying, and I'm not trying to defend anything that Kanye said, by the way. Okay, but
I won't defend anti-Semitic comments. I won't defend racist comments.
Absolutely,
but we have to look at the reasons why, and like you're saying, there's levels to something. So like, you know, my palate might not be as diverse as yours, so you can give me something to taste it, and I can really taste the ginger. And you're like, rah, I put like 18 different things in that. That's all you're getting.
Exactly.
And I think that's the public perception.
A really, really great way of putting it. I love that. That's a really great, and that's sometimes how I feel about, because for me, what I think Kanye was talking about is black ownership of black music and black ownership of black art. And he just got lost in this whole other place, this sort of Professor Griffey kind of area, and then as I've been calling it, and then really what he should have been talking about was black ownership of black art.
But he wanted out of those contracts.
He totally
That's why
did.
he said it. He even said like, "Oh, I'm going to say this," and they're not going to know him. Like, we can all end our careers easily. We can go online, we can say some shit, and we can end our careers, our reputations, every single thing. But that's not what we are trying to do. It might come out with the subtlety of a brick. It might punch somebody in the throat. We didn't mean it quite like that. But at the same time, why are we so passionate? Why am I so pissed off? Why am I so angry? Or look at those reasons rather than just like, I'm upset when she said that. But why did I say that? That's what I was asking. There's a reason. There's a reason why she said it. Something she's saying, something she said. And then, you know, your experience was your experience. People were jumping in. Well, I don't think they're like that. It was like, no, because you weren't working in there on those days.
That's what I'm saying.
You didn't have that experience. So you can't say, oh, well, it's not like that. And it's like, it might not be for you, because guess what? The world is different for me than it is for Sheba Q, for example, a more melanated sister.
Absolutely.
And that, I can see that. And
absolutely.
so if we don't look at how some people have advantages over others, we can never really be better people. But your experience is yours. I can't tell you how you felt.
There was
wasn't how you felt.
Well, this is the thing. There was people that were in the building with me who were saying that I was a liar, and I was like, it's like, oh my God, it's like, how can you say that? Because you know what was going on. You saw what was going on. There was those uncomfortable silences in the office when I was saying, well, what the, you know, when Inja. I remember, I've got to call out this one story. It was really funny when they had the Hospitality on the Beach CD come out. And he walked in, he pulled out the CD, he looked through the booklet, and just held it out like in the middle of the office. He goes, where's the black people in this? Like that, right? And just silence. And I'm just like, oh, I'm just glad it's not me this time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just glad someone else is saying it. And I've got to shout out Inja.
That's,
you know what I mean?
where I feel as mixed race, as mixed heritage people, lighter skinned black people have that advantage of like straddling their world a little bit. That's our job. Is to say those things. Is to be in that white space, because we're comfortable in it, because half of us are that, right? So like when I'm sitting with my white mum, I don't go, oh my God, I'm in a white room. I don't ever feel like that.
No.
And so that's our, I think that's our role, or anybody's role that's within the machine, is to be like, hey guys,
have you
let's put some oil in this.
Do you know what I mean? No, that's what I mean.
And so that's really important to me, and that's what I'm doing. So as much as like some black people don't like it, or they think I'm pointing the negative out, I'm not that. It's my position as a light-skinned black woman to say the world's a bit shit for black women. Knowing that it's worse for more melanated people than myself. I'm not talking about me. I've not had the bad time. But I'm not talking about that. Because I've got a career. I'm talking about the women that won't even be given an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Rather than like me and my light-skinned self with a smile, so I get given the job. Right? So I'm very aware of that. So people like me and Inja and Impact as well, MC. Like, we are very pro-black. Mixed race people. Flight, of course. You know, and pro-black doesn't mean anti-white.
White, that's the difference. And
I was just repeating that over and over. Like, I can be pro-black without being anti anything.
But I just think it's hard for some white people to quantify that. And I think...
because pro-white is danger.
Well, this is the thing, when you're...
like real... Wait, are those ships on the horizon? Danger. What's that thing they're lighting with a... What do you mean this arrow and spear ain't gonna... Oh, Right?
Yeah.
So from those suspicions back there, you know, you've got to, like, people have to realise there's, like, you know, post-traumatic slave disorder for so many people, inherent, you know, molecular structures have been affected from generations past, and people need to know that, like, heart conditions, diabetes, hypertension, there's so many things within our community that can be, you know, expressed to a further time. And so us now trying to explain to people about our living world today, when we're bringing so much history, it's very difficult to disengage from that to deal with today's world.
Yeah.
And that's what they don't understand. But it's like just how certain people can never forget about a certain thing that the Nazis did. That's never forget.
No.
But we have to forget.
We have to forget.
Yeah. And so...
it was so long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, but why do we have to talk about it? It's like, yeah.
Because you lot use Tate and Lyle, that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you lot have the Crown Jewels, that's why.
Because
you lot have Houses of Parliament, that's why. Because Chelsea exists, that's why.
Chelsea Football Club, right.
I meant the area.
Oh, you meant the area. Oh, I thought you were talking about a club. Oh, no, because the club's like just...
I love it, you're so football.
Well, I'm a Villa supporter, weirdly.
Are you?
I am. My son's middle name's O'Bondahor.
Really?
Yeah. That's how Villa I am. Like, that's what I mean. Yeah. So, like, people always get a bit baffled as, oh, are you Arsenal?
My brother-in-law is proper, like, Villa till I die.
Ah, good man.
Yeah, of course, being from Birmingham.
Yeah. Well, I got family in Erdington, and so a lot of that came from that, really. But I just always grew up sort of seeing certain players. I mean, like most black kids, we all like Liverpool because of John Barnes growing up. But then, absolutely, we just like Liverpool because of him, and then you sort
Wimbledon, fashion.
Oh yeah, fashion and that. Well, you know what? I love John Fashanu. I loved John Fashanu until I found out what he did to his brother and where he disowned his brother, and you know, of his brother being gay, and he wouldn't even. You know, he didn't even defend his brother in certain moments. He didn't look out for his brother in certain moments, and I just thought he was an absolute piece of shit for that.
Yeah,
you know, I understand
his actions
why.
aren't any different from a lot of people.
No, I get it.
One thing is that that it's open about him and it's not all hidden away.
Yeah.
Black man, innit?
Yeah, I know.
You can't not have anything come out in the open if it's negative.
I know, but...
And how many white guys do exactly the same?
Absolutely, but I don't know, it just felt a bit disgusting to me because as much as, you know, I've got two brothers, and even though I don't really particularly talk to one of them, you know, at the end of the day, I was still, you know...
It's your brother.
It's my brother, you know what I mean? And, you know what I mean? And so, you know, if there were certain things that were happening, if he called on me, I would go. Like, you know, there's no two ways about it.
That's the power... Well, there we have the power of homophobia within the black community is so big that a family member will watch another one kill themselves rather than even lend a supporting ear, exactly. let alone a public display of support.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
So that's a whole nother.
That's a whole
other interview. Yeah, I haven't even brought up queerness in this whole scene. That either. So
yeah.
Whew.
Well,
just pack my rainbow flag.
You can bring it out. You can wave it loud and proud. I'll wave it with you. It's absolutely fine. It's like, you know, I do think we've got our own shit to sort out, and I do sometimes think that the most racist people against black people are black people. Sometimes it's just like
the tools of white supremacy are very powerful.
Yeah, we just get in our own way in so many ways. Sometimes it just really pisses me off, but. I still maybe vainly have some level of optimism that there will be a time, it might be when we're both dead and gone, who knows, but that there will be a time where there is just a little bit more, you know, unity. You know, I sort of see unity in other cultures, right? You know, or there's a perception of unity in other cultures, and maybe they've got their own shit that they're sorting out, but I just never ever see it with us, and it's one of the things that kind of irritates me, and that was one of the things that what was so irritating about that whole situation. With me, and even your situation, that, you know, the biggest, you know, voices outspoken against you were by people of a similar colour, and it's just like, mate, just come on, do you know what I mean? Just, you know, you didn't, I don't know, it was just weird. It was just weird to me, and I just think, I'm not saying everyone has to agree with each other because we're the same race. We're a whole big, you know, dichotomy. You know, we're all so different, and there's many different experiences, and
exactly, because ironically, a lot of black people from different Caribbean islands also emulate Jamaican culture because it's cool and
Yes.
the bad man thing, and so they weren't even really able to express their St. Lucian culture, for example, or their Trinidadian culture to the same effect that was celebrated. So now they actually don't celebrate their culture in their own household. They celebrate an emulation of Jamaican culture, and so that blows my mind as well, right? So when I'm saying I don't like people like mimicking it, like
yeah, this could be anyone. That's the thing.
it could be anyone. They all can get it, yeah.
So, is there any plans for you to? I mean, because I did obviously before you came up here. I did look into your career, and most of your work seems to be sort of in a live capacity. You sort of perform live.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't find too much sort of recorded work. That's no criticism.
Not in drum and bass.
Right, okay.
It's all like house music and breakbeat and stuff.
Yeah.
Like loads of that. Like, I've actually only done... Sorry.
That's all right.
I've actually only done like about 2 or 3 jungle drum and bass tunes.
Yeah.
And I've done about like 20...
Yeah.
Of the
like
tracks.
Breaks. Yeah.
I've been in like the Billboard charts.
Yeah.
European
that's what
charts.
I did see that. Yeah.
All of that. So it's gone really, really well. And I always get sent the sort of like, hey, I'm doing an album and this is a really obscure track that nobody's going to dance to. Do you want to put a vocal on it?
Oh, right, okay.
So that's...
So you would... So is that something you'd want to try and do more, do you think? Or in jungle particularly?
Kind of.
Yeah.
A little bit. The only reason why I like it is because I don't have to be in the party and my voice is in the party. That's kind of cool. But for those things, I get asked more to do house music tracks. So I'm in Ibiza every year.
Right, okay.
But I'm not in Ibiza, but I'm on tunes that I've played out there and stuff. Like every summer there's like a couple tunes and that I voice.
Yeah.
So it goes all right. So I'm known in other thingies. So I think that's why I'm like, drum and bass.
Yeah. Oh, well, I would like to see more of that personally. Because I do think that's something that, we're talking about, trying to set example. I'm not saying that you have no responsibility, you don't have to do it, you don't have to have a responsibility for anyone else. But I think it would be really cool to see more of you on drum and bass tracks particularly. And if I can make that happen, I'll definitely make sure. I'll try and make sure I get some music sent to you that isn't, because I hear that a lot from sort of vocalists, that they get something too obscure. And
it's never just like a dotty rhythm
that
you would hear in the dance and be able to ride on it. It's never that. Hardly ever. I shouldn't say never. It's hardly ever just something that's just like a little fling down. But I've got 2 tracks out at the moment, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, send me
Euphonic. I've got a tune with her.
Oh, you got a tune with Euphonic? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it was just came out like a month ago.
Oh, cool. Shout out,
I mean, she's so like prolific though. She makes
a lot of stuff.
1,000 tunes a week.
I've heard she makes a lot of music.
She's really talented.
Yes. I've heard she makes a lot of music. Someone else said that to me. She just writes
so she was like, "Oh, do you want to do a tune?" She said, "My girl sent me about 8.
Yeah.
Fully finished tune. Choose one." I was like, "Okay." Yeah.
Okay. That's more like what you want to get, right?
Yeah. She's like incredible.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Well, Dave will definitely want to send you stuff. That's why he was, show me what you got. You know what I mean?
When people say that, like, what are your links and things? And I'm like, I'm really rubbish at all of that. I kind of want to be that. I want to be a live vocalist where you have to catch me in the moment to really catch me, to really understand what I'm about. You do kind of have to meet me. I think if you just see me just banging on about something online without the context of me behind it or my personality, I think people lose a lot in translation. I think so. But I want to be a live performer because there isn't any others out there.
No.
And so like I always want to like do that more than anything.
But there's I've got that reminds me actually that would be good to see actually as well, because you're right. I'm just I'm still sort of been this whole time I've been racking my brains saying I really can't think of any other female black MCs.
It's alright. I've said it to many people and I'm still waiting for them to like call me back so I can retire. I know I still can't retire.
Can't do it.
Nope.
It's almost like that Stephen K. Amos joke when he talks about, he had to wait for Lenny Henry to retire before the BBC would let him in. It's like sort of that sort of thing. And it's almost like a similar situation.
And that's what I'm really trying to not happen.
No.
Because I'm not waiting for just the one.
No,
I'm trying to bring in more
10, we want 20. I mean, there's enough sort of.
But I have some. I've got some little babies.
Yes.
I do.
Excellent.
And so hopefully they're going to come through.
Brilliant. Well, please link me them and I'll put them in the description of this,
I will.
this
Thank
video.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got to say thank you so much for coming in because, I'm not going to say I was nervous about asking you, but when I saw you at Rapture, I was like, oh, I've got to ask her. Cause,
Yeah, I really appreciate you doing that because a lot of people wouldn't necessarily
I had
do
to.
that. And I know of all the people that you're brave enough to do it.
Well, I didn't know.
A lot of people would are brave enough thinking, I don't know.
I didn't think it was brave. I just saw a peer, in you, in a creative spirit that had an opinion and wasn't afraid to give it, and I respected that, and I always have, and I will continue to. Don't worry. So
exactly. But ultimately, can I just end by saying,
absolutely,
my core belief is that we're human. We're human beings. We're light beings in a vessel.
Yeah.
And so all of this is irrelevant.
Okay.
There is no... Light doesn't have a gender. It doesn't have a sexuality. It doesn't have a preference. It doesn't have a colour. It doesn't have a nationality. It doesn't have a border. That's it. And so ultimately, that is what I believe. As much as I'm fighting for gender equality and racial equality, deep down, the core of what I believe is that we are none of those things.
Yeah, we're all atoms.
It's just that we're trapped by this world and how it works.
Yeah.
And now I want to make this world and how it works a bit better for people to experience it. But my core belief is that it's all irrelevant and it doesn't really matter anyway. And we should just love each other a bit more.
We are stardust, as Neil deGrasse Tyson says. It's like he was saying about the 4 elements that make up the universe, or the 4 elements that make us.
Because we are the universe.
We are the universe.
The universe.
The universe. I love it. Go ahead and do there. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. That was wicked. Cheers.
Thank you.